he declared that Columbus was the founder of America and was the discoverer of America, was responsible for everything that made America great. Now, the most fascinating thing about that is Columbus never landed in America. Columbus Day, you may not know, but it's actually a very controversial day. It was there, I think, Senator legislated, but to get the status of national holiday, it needs some sort of presidential agreement. And he made a speech on the White House lawn just after the eruption of riots in the wake of the killing of George Floyd, when people began tearing down statues, and particularly tearing down statues of Columbus. And he declared that Columbus was the founder of America and was the discoverer of America, was responsible for everything that made America great. Now, the most fascinating thing about that is Columbus never landed in America. He landed in basically what is now called the West Indies, and incidentally was responsible for the genocide of the entire Taino population that he had discovered, because what he immediately did was he enslaved them, and he enslaved them with the intention of bringing gold back to the King of Spain. His governance of those Bahamas was so awful, the kings of Spain actually deposed him from the status of governor. I think once on his third voyage, he touched land briefly on Panama. But if there was anyone who could be said, and I don't like the word discovery because people were there, people were there anyway. So is it a discovery if you go and meet them? My line is that they discovered Europe when Europe came and visited them and inflicted colonization and genocide on them. But the person who gave his name to America was Amerigo Vespucci. And he was probably the first person to actually map the coastline of Latin America, what is now Latin America. Columbus only became a mythical figure who was credited with the conquest of America, interestingly, when the Italians in America around about 1870, 1890 wanted to demonstrate, because they were the victim of a great deal of racism. They were characterized as dark-skinned and called Dagos, which was a derogatory word for Italian people. They said, no, Italy and Europe made a contribution, and the contribution was the fact that Columbus was Italian. Now, this then became picked up gradually. I was intrigued by a little rhyme called In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, which is very well known, but it's very hard to trace the origins of it. I think it goes back to about 1872. But there was a woman who recently did a remake of it, in which she put into the children's verses a description of what Columbus did, which is a little bit more balanced. She said, well, at the end, did he discover America? No, not quite, but he was brave and he was bright. And one of the reviewers, it struck me, one of the Canadian reviewers of this book, you can see it on Amazon, was so outraged that he actually proposed that you should take a strip of paper, write the correct words, what he said was the correct words, that he did discover America, cut the inflammatory words out of the book and paste your own words in. So he was willing to commit an urge on people, book desecration, because he was so convinced that Columbus discovered America. Now, what does it mean when, I'm sorry to go on about this, but it is I think it's quite central to what's going on. When something was scientifically known to be completely false is asserted by a head of state and asserted by leading intellectuals to the point they become very incensed that statues of Columbus are being pulled down and so on. It's a myth. It's a religious myth. So the myth structure is this, it's a hero myth. Columbus is a great hero who sailed out and conquered new lands, discovered them, brought the benefits of Western civilization to those lands, and then brought back the riches of those countries to Europe. So he founded the link between Europe and America. He founded colonialism, and colonialism starts from that day.